purposeless.
It is purposeless. You tell me, where do your purposes come from? It is not as if it should be purposeless. All shoulds are purposes in themselves. So when you say life should be purposeless, you have already ascribed a purpose to life. Life is already purposeless. Even if you give it a purpose, that purpose stands nowhere. That purpose is just like trying to write your name on the surface of the mountain stream.
That means there should be no destination to decide that where we want to go.
Again, the should is there.
No, I mean, the thing is that I want to live my life in totality.
It is not dependent on your want.
No, exactly the thing you said that yes, any inch, any second, whatever I'm living out of totality. It is, I should understand this thing that yes, I'm living.
You already understand this.
So that's what my point is, that if I want to go ahead in my life, wherever I want to go.
You don't need to go ahead. There is no ahead to go to.
So what should be the objective of a human?
There is no should and no objective.
Okay, so I mean, there should not be any plan. That's what my question.
For
was.
whom must the plan be there?
It is I. Really
This I is all coming from this, that, that.
No, I mean, suppose how can I live in this? That's what my question.
How are you living right now?
I am living that yes, I have some purpose to achieve that.
Were you thinking of all that purpose since the 2 hours?
Life, I sincerely do not.
I'm asking you, were you thinking of any purpose since the last 1.5 hours?
No.
Were you dead then?
No, I was. Just
so were you not in just listening? Is there any purpose?
Somewhere down the line, the question.
All purposes are there in the mind. When you were just listening, was there any purpose in your mind? Was the mind containing anything?
It was not containing anything.
So then full stop. Just as you can listen without purpose, you can also live without purpose. Just as over the last 1.5 hours, you could listen without purpose, with a clean mind. Similarly, you can live without purpose with a clean mind. It is possible. It is not only possible, it is the only possibility if you do not want to die insane. Life knows in which direction to take you. The pulsations in the heart of the ocean decide the rise and fall of waves. Waves have no business setting their personal agenda. The ocean is there. The ocean very well knows when the wave would be born, how far would it rise, whether it would merge with another wave, how it would fall, how it would dissolve, and then how it would reappear. The ocean knows all of these. What business does the wave have troubling itself over questions about future, security, movement, life, action, and purpose?
Then I would assume that they do not have mind and I have.
You do not need to do anything. Even assumption is a doing. Why do you need to do anything? Why do you need to assume? What is the compulsion, the inner compulsion to think, do, assume, be embroiled in something?
Because as you say that the nature of the wave is actually nothing, it is complete.
So the wave does not need to decide anything.
So that's what I'm saying. If I should be getting inspired from the ocean waves.
You don't need to get inspired from the ocean. The wave does not get any inspiration from the ocean. The wave is the ocean in movement. The ocean knows everything. The wave can just relax. Now that troubles, right? Because it leaves you jobless. Now what do I do? Do you see how restless do we feel without doing? Do you see how that tells of our internal fears? You know what your fear is? If I do not do anything, I will be no more. You have associated your being with doing. You feel that without doing, there will be no being.
I find myself, I find myself isolated when I think the way you were asking me.
You find yourself isolated, you find yourself this, you find yourself that, but you do not stop finding. Because you have hyphenated your existence with finding this or that. Your finding is not a realization. Your finding is just a desperate attempt at remaining alive, at doing something. Why can't you just sit still? Why can't you just sit still? What is this compulsive obligation to achieve, move, do, conclude, know? What is this? You're alive, you're still alive. It's possible. Yes? It's possible. See, the skies have not fallen upon you. Not doing anything, you're still alright. Yes? And when the moment of doing comes, then the doing happens. Doing is already happening even without your confirmation, support, validation or participation. It is happening. Yes? Stillness is not threatening. Stillness is not terrible. Stillness is not your enemy. Feel secure and relax.
Yes.
Yes? One can live even without feeling afraid. It is possible.
So, what is the difference between pleasure and joy? How can we know that this pleasure?
Classically, it has been put like this: to have an itch and scratch it is, and to not to have an itch at all is joy. I think it was Nagarjuna who put it this way. But I love the way he put it.
Funny.
खुजली में जो मजा है ज्यादा मजा बिना खुजली के
क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है थोड़ा सा.
When you have an itch and you scratch it, how does it feel?
Good.
Good. That is pleasure. But to not to have an itch at all, that is
far better.
joy.
That means we should not have any purpose in our life.
There is no purpose. It is not a question of you having the authority to have or not have a purpose. We don't even have the authority to have a purpose. We are not even qualified, authorized to have a purpose.
But what would a life be without a purpose?
Wonderful. And you know that, right?
Every action is actually driven by one purpose or another.
That's why all our actions are just breeding grounds for suffering.
But suffering has to come. If the pleasure is coming, the suffering has to come. It's an ongoing cycle.
Do you like that?
Nobody likes pain.
Do you like that?
No, but I'm taking the life as it comes. I mean, if I don't have to be an actor, I don't have to be.
I'm again asking
witness
this. Do you
also.
like suffering?
No, not at all.
If you do not like suffering, surely you know that it is possible to not to suffer. Had suffering been your nature, how could you have disliked it? Does anybody dislike his nature? But suffering by definition is something that you dislike, which means that all these actions and all this doership that leads to suffering has to be artificial, unnecessary. All right. Life without purpose does not mean that you are left stranded in a strange jungle with no compass, no sense of direction. That is the scary feeling you get when somebody says life cannot have a purpose. You feel you have been left unattended, helpless, directionless in the middle of a thick and terrible jungle. Now you need to have a purpose. The purpose is to get out, right? And you feel, what kind of man is this? He's saying you need not have a purpose, then I will keep roaming and circulating and stranded and lost in this jungle forever. First of all, you're not in a jungle. Secondly, it is not a terrible place where you are. Thirdly, even if you do not have a purpose of your own, your entire system, your innate intelligence knows how and where to go. Movement is possible even without having a prior purpose. It is possible to reach without planning. It is possible to understand without a motive. In fact, you cannot understand with a motive. Do you understand what I say? Did you have the motive to understand? Don't you see that you are reaching only when you are not moving? Don't you say that you are understanding only when you are not thinking? Don't you see that the more you move, the more you remain deprived of real motion? Even as I speak to you, if your mind remains in movement, would there be any understanding? Don't you see real action is happening when you are not intending to act? I'm again asking this. Is there really an intention to understand right now? An intention also is a movement. Even if there is an intention to understand, it is the same as an intention to not to understand. You look at those who are learning to drive a vehicle. Sometimes I am beside someone who is recently learning to drive a vehicle. Now, there are two things that go wrong. One, carelessness. Second, carefulness. Both are enemies of driving. Both lead to accidents. Because in both, there is an intention. When you are careless, then your intention is pivoted on something else. You are careless about driving because you are thinking about the mobile phone. When you are careful about driving, then you are thinking about the exact pressure that you should put on the pedals. In both the cases, the driving gets rough. Driving is the smoothest when you are not even knowing that you are driving. Some of you are drivers, then they know what I'm saying. When you are really driving the smoothest, then you do not even know that you are driving. Beginners mess up because they are careful about driving. They have an intention to drive. When you have an intention to drive, all you drive is accidents. An intention to understand would restrict your understanding. An intention to not to understand too would inhibit your understanding. Intention in any form would be the enemy of the real thing. And intention is purpose. You know what I'm saying. You decide that you do not want to listen to me, obviously you cannot listen. But if you come here and you decide that today I will listen with the greatest concentration, again you will miss me. Those who are able to get me are the ones who are just here. No purpose, no meaning. They are just here, simply relaxing and sitting. They will get everything. Everything without effort. You decide that you have to remain stuck in the jungle, you will obviously not be able to get out. You decide that you must quickly get out of the jungle, you will again find that you are getting deeper into the jungle. You're not being pulled out of it. The more you try to extricate yourself, the more you put yourself deeper in it.
Not having a purpose, does this hold good in a day-to-day life also?
Yes, of course.
I mean, if I'm not having a purpose, probably I will not go to office tomorrow.
See, it cannot become a purpose to deny the simple happenings when they approach you. We think in terms of duality. When I say do not have a purpose, that itself becomes a purpose. So you see, the first thought that comes to you is, if I do not have a purpose, then I must not go to the office tomorrow. Why? When the time for the action has arrived, go there purposelessly. Act purposelessly. And if you find that that purposelessness is unsuitable to that place, then you and the place would anyway get separated. Good for you, good for that place. Why must you be in a place that does not love you enough to bear your purposelessness? Why must you be with a person only with a purpose? Why must you be working only for a purpose? Remember that working can never be a purpose. When you say that you go to your workplace for a purpose, the purpose is never work, or is it?
No.
When you say that you go to your workplace for a purpose, is the purpose ever the work? What is the purpose? The purpose is the salary check. You don't go to work for a purpose. In fact, if work could be bypassed and you could straight away reach the salary check, then who would want to work? Is work the purpose really? No, it is not. Now, why work in such a place then? Why subject yourself to month-long torture so that you may get a check in the month end? When you work purposelessly, then you really work. Now you are going to work. You are not going to get the salary check. Now the purpose is the doing itself. Otherwise, purposes are always outside of the doing. The purposes are always in the future, somewhere ahead. It is the 5th of the month and the purpose lies on the 30th of the month. When you don't have a purpose, then you can really work on the 5th. Otherwise, even on the 5th, The mind is hovering around the
31st.
30th. Today is the 5th, but the mind is, oh, when would the 30th arrive? Working without purpose means really working. No, I'm not bothered about what would happen tomorrow. Today I'm really working.
So what is the purpose of that working now?
No purpose. Have you ever played with a kid?
Yeah, so
What is the purpose of playing?
happiness, drawing a pleasure out of it.
That's it. Pleasure that is not dependent upon the result of the action is called joy. When you play with the kid, do you play with the intention that the kid will pay you back one day?
No.
Do you record it so that later on you may show it to the kid and prove that you have invested on him? So the working, the doing, the playing itself is the purpose. There is no purpose beyond the playing, beyond the working, beyond the doing. Nothing outside of the action is now determining the action. The action is its own purpose, and that is called purposelessness. Work itself is so beautiful and meaningful that I don't have to look forward to the 30th. Now nobody can threaten you. They may say, we will not pay you. You say, oh, do I receive a salary? I forgot that. I thought working was sufficient. Those who work for salaries can be arm twisted, even manhandled. You tell them you won't be paid, and they won't even want to work. What we are working for then? Life must have a purpose. Work must have a purpose. The purpose of work is salary. If somebody is blocking my salary, I have nothing left to work for. Go to work as you play with your kid, just for the sake of it, just for the inherent joy, not for anything outside of the playing. Yes?
So salary becomes a byproduct.
Yeah, of course, it may or may not come. You see, byproducts are not so important that we talk of them, right? One is never assured of byproducts. Salary might be byproduct, or it is possible that on the 30th, somebody may demand that you pay for being allowed to work. You see, I saw you deriving a lot of joy in this work. Don't you think it is proper that you pay me for letting you work? And that is all right. That is all right. Yes, of course. For an hour of company with the beloved, would it be too much to pay for the dinner? I am prepared to pay. I am prepared to pay for this work. I am prepared to pay. I am paying. The dinner is upon me. I am paying. Because as the company is so beautiful, I am prepared to pay. Hmm?